The huge meeting hall of the Galactic Council was full of noise. Hundreds of alien beings from different planets sat in rows, talking to each other through their translation devices. Today was an important day. The Veltok Empire wanted to take over more star systems. Ambassador Zexathara stood at the front of the hall. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and forearms. His voice was cold and sharp as he spoke about his empire's plans. "We need more resources," he said. "The outer systems are perfect for mining and farming. These backward planets will serve the empire well." Captain Jake Murphy sat in a small section marked for humans. He was 45 years old with short, brown hair and calm blue eyes. Next to him, Lieutenant Amy Clark wrote notes on her small computer. She looked worried as she listened to the alien's words. "The Sol system will be easy to take," Zexathara continued. "The humans there are primitive. They have old ships and simple weapons. They will not fight back." Jake stood up slowly. The entire hall became quiet. His boots made loud sounds as he walked to the speaking area. Every alien eye watched him. "I am Captain Jake Murphy," he said in a clear voice. "I speak for all humans. We do not want war, but we will not give up our home. Earth and our other worlds belong to us." Strange clicking sounds came from the Veltok area. They were laughing. Zexathara's translator made his words sound mean. "Captain Murphy, your people are weak. You have no special powers. Your technology is hundreds of years behind ours. What can you do against our mighty fleet?" Jake stayed calm. "We humans have many old stories about our warriors. Maybe you should think about why we tell these stories. Maybe they are not just stories." More laughter filled the hall. Even the peaceful Centaurans smiled. The aliens thought Jake was making a joke. Commander Veltok, a military leader from the Veltok Empire, spoke next. "Human, we have watched your people for years. Your best weapon is nuclear bombs. Our smallest scout ship can destroy your whole planet in minutes. You should give up now before you look foolish." Jake's face did not change. "I have given you our answer. We will not surrender our worlds. Think carefully about what you do next." The human group started to leave. As they walked out, Amy whispered to Jake, "Captain, can we really fight them? They have so many ships and better weapons." Jake stopped at the big doors. He looked back at all the aliens who were already ignoring them and talking about other things. "Amy, these aliens do not understand something important about humans." "What is that, sir?" "They think war is only about having better guns and more ships," Jake said quietly. "But humans fight differently. We fight with anger and stubbornness. We never give up, even when we should." Amy looked confused. "But their technology is so much better than ours." Jake smiled for the first time that day. "Technology is not everything. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have learned things that these aliens never had to learn." "Like what?" "Like how to win when you are supposed to lose. Like how to turn your enemy's strength against them. Like how to make them regret ever starting a fight with you." They walked through the long hallways of the council building. Other alien beings moved out of their way, but Jake could see the looks they gave him. The aliens thought humans were cute, like small animals trying to act tough. "Sir," Amy asked, "what did you mean about our old stories?" Jake stopped walking. "Every human culture has stories about warriors who never gave up, about fighters who won impossible battles, about people who died before they would surrender. The aliens think these are just made-up tales to entertain children. But they are not. No, Amy. They are instructions. They teach us how to behave when everything looks hopeless. They remind us who we really are." As they reached their small human ship, Jake looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Veltok Empire was probably already making plans to attack Earth. They thought it would be easy. "Captain," Amy said, "are you scared?" Jake thought for a moment. "Yes, I am scared. Any smart person would be scared of what is coming, but I am also excited." "Excited? These aliens are about to learn something new about humans. They think they know what we are capable of. They are wrong." Jake walked up the ramp into their ship. Send a message to Earth Command, he told Amy. Tell them the Veltok Empire refused our peaceful offer. Tell them to begin Operation Mythbreaker. Operation Mythbreaker, sir. Jake sat down in the pilot's seat and started the engines. It is time to show the galaxy that human myths are not just stories. They are warnings about what happens when you threaten our families. The small human ship left the council station and headed for home. Behind them, the aliens continued their meeting, already forgetting about the humans and their foolish threats. They had no idea that in a few weeks, everything they thought they knew about warfare was about to change forever. 3 weeks passed since the meeting at the Galactic Council. The Veltok Empire wasted no time. Their massive war fleet gathered at the edge of the Sol system, ready to take what they wanted by force. Admiral Kexavar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Edge. The ship was enormous, bigger than a small city. Its weapons could destroy planets. Around it floated 200 other Veltok warships, each one more powerful than the best human vessel. Kexavar was proud and confident. He had conquered 12 star systems for the Empire. Humans would be easy compared to the others. His forearms moved smoothly as he gave orders to his crew. "Sir," said his young aide, Lieutenant Nexara, "our long-distance sensors show 50 human ships waiting for us near the 4th planet. They are using old fusion engines and simple projectile weapons." Kexavar made clicking sounds with his mouth. This was how his people laughed. "Only 50 ships? Against our mighty fleet? Open a communication channel to their commander." The main screen lit up. It showed the bridge of a human ship called the Defiance. A woman with short brown hair sat in the captain's chair. Her name was Captain Lisa Brown. She was 38 years old and had been fighting space pirates for 10 years. Her green eyes looked directly at Kexavar without fear. "Human commander," Kexavar said in his coldest voice, "I am Admiral Kexavar of the 3rd Fleet. You have no chance of winning. Surrender now and I will make your death quick and painless." Lisa did not hesitate. "Admiral, this is Captain Lisa Brown of the Earth Defense Force. You have come into our space without permission. You came here to attack us. Turn your ships around and leave now, or we will force you to leave." The Veltok crew on the bridge started making their clicking laughter sounds. They could not believe what they were hearing. Kexavar shook his head. "Captain Brown, you must be joking. Our technology is hundreds of years more advanced than yours. Our shields can stop your primitive weapons forever." "Admiral," Lisa said, moving forward in her chair, "let me explain something about humans. We have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have learned how to fight in ways you cannot imagine. We do not just fight to win battles. We fight to make sure our enemies never want to fight us again." "Big words from someone who is about to die," Kexavar replied. He turned to his fleet commanders. "All ships, move forward and attack. Try not to destroy all their ships. We want some humans alive to work in our mines." As the huge alien fleet moved toward Earth's defenders, Lisa turned to her weapons officer. "Commander Pete Davis, are our special surprises ready?" Pete was a young man with black hair and quick hands. He had spent months preparing for this moment. His fingers moved rapidly over his control panel. "Everything is ready, Captain. The Ghost Fleet is hiding where they cannot see them. Our special ammunition is loaded and ready to fire." "Then let's show these aliens what human stories are really about," Lisa said loudly. "All ships, this is Captain Brown. Remember what we are fighting for. We are not just protecting Earth. We are fighting for the right to live as free humans. Make sure they never forget this day." The battle began exactly as the Veltok expected. Human weapons fired metal projectiles and simple energy beams at the alien ships. The rounds bounced off the alien shields like raindrops on glass. The Veltok energy weapons cut through human ship armor like knives through paper. 3 Earth ships exploded in the first few minutes. Kexavar smiled with satisfaction. "See, this will be over quickly. Their weapons cannot even scratch our shields." But then something strange happened. The human ships did not run away. Instead, they speeded up and flew directly at the enemy fleet. Their weapons kept firing even as their ships were being destroyed. One human destroyer had a huge hole in its side and was leaking air into space. but it did not stop fighting. "What are they doing?" Kexvar asked. "Why do they not retreat? Any sensible commander would order his ships to escape." The destroyer with the hole in its side suddenly changed direction. It flew straight at a Veltok cruiser and crashed into the alien ship's shield generator. Both ships exploded in a bright flash. Lieutenant Nexara looked at her sensors in confusion. "Sir, the humans are acting in ways that make no sense. They are losing ships that should make them surrender, but they keep attacking instead." Another human ship lost its engines to enemy fire. The crew used small maneuvering jets to aim their dead ship at a Veltok frigate. The human ship hit the alien vessel so hard that it cracked the frigate's thick armor. "These humans are crazy," Kexvar said quietly. He was starting to feel worried. "Their tactics are completely illogical. No civilized species fights this way." On the bridge of the Defiance, alarms were ringing. The ship had taken several hits and smoke filled the air. Lisa's uniform was torn and she had a cut on her forehead, but she was still giving orders. "Pete, how many alien ships have we damaged?" she asked. 17 ships have shield damage, Captain. 5 have lost weapons, but we have lost 23 ships ourselves." Lisa nodded grimly. "The plan is working. Signal the Ghost Fleet. Tell them it is time for Phase 2. "Yes, Captain. Sending the signal now." Kexvar watched as more human ships died under his fleet's superior firepower. But something felt wrong. The humans were not fighting like any enemy he had ever faced before. They acted like they did not care about dying. They acted like hurting. His fleet was more important than saving their own lives. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "we are winning, but our casualties are higher than expected. These humans are using suicide tactics. They are turning their dying ships into weapons." "Increase our rate of fire," Kexvar ordered. "Destroy them, all quickly before they can damage more of our ships." But deep inside, the Admiral was beginning to understand that he had made a serious mistake. The humans were not fighting like a normal military force. They were fighting like cornered animals who had decided that if they were going to die, they would take as many enemies with them as possible. And somewhere in the darkness of space around them, invisible to Veltok sensors, 50 more human ships waited silently for their signal to attack. Captain Rick Stone stood on the bridge of the human warship Vengeance. He was 42 years old with gray hair and dark eyes that had seen many battles. Unlike the other human ships fighting the aliens, his vessel was hidden behind a large asteroid. He watched the battle through his sensors and waited for the right moment. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kate Morris, his communications officer, "Captain Brown's ship just stopped sending signals. We are receiving her final message now." Kate was 26 years old with red hair tied back in a ponytail. She had worked with Rick for 3 years and knew when he was planning something dangerous. Today, his calm smile meant big trouble for the Veltok Empire. Lisa Brown's voice came through the speakers, broken by static and explosions. "All ships, this is Captain Brown. The Defiance is destroyed, but we did our job. Start Phase 2 now. Show them what happens when you attack humanity." Rick's smile grew wider. "Kate, open a communication channel to the Veltok Admiral." The main screen showed Admiral Kexvar on his flagship. The alien leader looked less confident than before. Smoke filled parts of his bridge, and several of his crew members were treating wounds. The human suicide attacks had hurt his fleet more than he expected. "Human," Kexvar said in an angry voice, "your fleet is almost completely destroyed. Surrender now, and I might let some of your people live as slaves." "Admiral," Rick said in a calm, friendly voice, "I am Captain Rick Stone of the Vengeance. I wanted to thank you for walking into our trap so perfectly." "Trap? What trap? Your fleet is broken and burning." Rick's smile became cold as ice. "The fleet you just fought? Those were our volunteers. Those were the brave men and women who knew they would not be going home today. But they did their job perfectly. They brought you exactly where we wanted you." Suddenly, alarm sounds began ringing throughout the Veltok fleet. New contacts appeared on every sensor screen. Dozens of human ships that had been completely invisible started showing themselves. They came out from behind asteroids, from inside nebula clouds, and from places where nothing should have been able to hide. "Impossible," Kexvar whispered, his forearms shaking. "Our sensors showed no other ships. Where did they come from?" "Meet the Ghost Fleet," Rick announced proudly. These ships are crewed by our best pilots and our smartest engineers. They have weapons that your scouts never saw because we never let anyone see them before today. The new human ships were different from the ones that had just been destroyed. They were sleeker, darker, and moved in ways that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Their hulls were covered in materials that made sensors useless. They had been preparing for this day for 20 years. Commander Helen Price, Rick's weapons officer, spoke from her station. Sir, all ghost ships report ready for combat. Special ammunition is loaded and targeted on enemy vessels. Helen was 34 years old and had helped design the new weapons. She was excited to finally see them used in battle. Permission to fire, Captain? What is this special ammunition? Kexvar demanded, his voice getting higher. What new trick are you humans trying to use? Rick's expression became deadly serious. Something we learned from our old stories, Admiral. You laughed at our myths and called them primitive lies, but every human story has truth in it. Our ancestors told tales about weapons that could kill gods, about warriors who never gave up, about the terrible price of threatening human children. You are talking nonsense, Kexvar shouted. Myths are not real. Stories cannot hurt my ships. Fire. All weapons, Rick ordered quietly. The Ghost Fleet opened fire at the same time, but they did not shoot normal bullets or energy beams. Instead, they fired something completely new. The projectiles looked like small black holes that bent space around them. They ignored alien shields completely and passed through armor like it was made of paper. Shields are failing across the entire fleet, screamed Kexvar's aide. Sir, these weapons are unlike anything in our military databases. They should not be possible! Rick's voice cut through the panic on the alien bridge. Those are human weapons, Admiral. Built using human science and human determination. We do not just build tools to kill our enemies. We build tools to make sure they can never threaten anyone again. We call them God-Killer rounds. It sounds like a story name, but the weapons are very real. A massive Veltok battleship exploded in a brilliant white flash as one of the mysterious projectiles found its main reactor. Then another ship died. And another. The alien fleet that had been so confident just minutes before began to break apart, as ships tried desperately to escape the impossible weapons. This is Captain Dan Clark of the Retribution, came a new voice over the human command frequency. All ships, remember what we are fighting for. Remember what they plan to do to our families back on Earth. Dan was Rick's old friend from military, academy. His ship was one of the largest in the Ghost Fleet. It carried weapons that could destroy entire space stations. The response from all human ships was immediate and frightening. Every vessel, from the smallest fighter to the largest battleship, began sending the same message over and over. For Earth, for humanity. No mercy, no prisoners. The human ships moved like wolves hunting deer. They surrounded groups of alien vessels and destroyed them systematically. The Veltok Empire's superior technology meant nothing against weapons that ignored shields and armor. Admiral, cried Kexvar's tactical officer. We have lost 60 ships in the last 10 minutes. The humans are not taking prisoners. They are destroying everything. Kexvar stared at his screens in horror. His mighty fleet was being torn apart by an enemy he had thought was primitive and weak. The humans were not fighting like any civilized species. They were fighting like demons from his people's worst nightmares. Order all ships to retreat, he finally commanded. Full speed away from this system. But Rick's voice came over the communication. Channel one more time. Admiral, you came here to take our worlds and enslave our people. Did you really think we would let you leave to try again later? More Veltok ships exploded as the human God-Killer weapons found their targets. The alien empire was learning a terrible lesson about what happened when someone threatened humanity's home. The myths were true, and the price of ignoring human warnings was higher than anyone had imagined. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the Galactic Council met again. The same huge meeting hall that had once been filled with laughter at human threats was now completely silent. Fear hung in the air like a thick fog. Every alien delegate sat, quietly, afraid to speak too loudly. The news of the Veltok defeat had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. 200 ships destroyed. Only 17 damaged vessels had limped back to Veltok space. their crews traumatized and broken. The impossible had happened. The primitive humans had won. Ambassador Zexithara stood at the front of the hall. The same alien who had mocked humanity 6 months ago now looked old and defeated. His gray skin was pale, and his forearms shook as he held his report. His voice was barely a whisper. "Honored delegates," he began slowly, "I must report the complete destruction of our third fleet. Of 200 vessels, only 17 damaged ships returned home. Most of our crews are dead or missing." A shocked murmur ran through the chamber. The numbers were hard to believe. No one in Galactic history had ever defeated a Veltok fleet so completely. Admiral Jake Murphy sat in the human section, wearing new insignia on his uniform. He had been promoted after the victory, but his face showed no joy. His blue eyes were cold and serious as he watched the alien delegates. "What of the human losses?" asked the Centauran representative, his voice shaking. Zexthara's voice cracked as he answered. "Total human casualties. 43 ships destroyed, approximately 2,000 personnel killed in action. They called this an acceptable exchange rate." The silence in the chamber was deafening. The mathematics were terrifying. The humans had killed over 50,000 Veltok soldiers while losing only 2,000 of their own. This kind of victory was supposed to be impossible. Jake stood up slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned to watch him. His presence seemed to fill the entire room. "Honored delegates," he said in a calm voice. "Humanity has no desire to conquer other worlds or expand beyond our current territory. We want only to live in peace." "Admiral Murphy," the council president said very carefully, "perhaps you could explain how your species achieved such a complete victory. Our military experts said your technology was much weaker than ours." Jake's expression remained calm and steady. "With respect, you studied our old technology. You never bothered to look at our hidden capabilities." "Such as what?" "Our willingness to sacrifice everything for freedom. Our ability to turn any situation into a weapon. Our habit of preparing for the worst possible outcome." Jake paused, letting his words sink into every alien mind. "And most importantly, our complete refusal to accept defeat as an option." A new voice spoke from the chamber entrance. "May I add something to that, Admiral?" All heads turned to see Captain Carol White walking slowly toward the speaking area. She was the only survivor from the bridge of the Defiance. Her left arm was still in a medical brace, and she moved carefully like someone still healing from terrible injuries. Carol was 35 years old with blonde hair and bright blue eyes that had seen too much death. She had floated in space for 6 hours in a damaged escape pod before being rescued. The memory of watching her ship die still gave her nightmares. "Captain White," Jake said with respect. "Please speak freely." Carol faced the hundreds of alien delegates with the same fearless look that had impressed Admiral Kexvar. "Honored delegates, you want to know how we won? We won because you made the same mistake that every bully in history has made. You thought that because we were smaller and less advanced, we were also weak and afraid." She pointed toward the Veltok delegation with her good arm. "Your people studied our technology, our military rules, our fleet numbers, but you never studied our history. You never learned what humans do when someone threatens our families." "And what do humans do?" the council president asked in a very quiet voice. Carol's smile was sharp as a knife blade. "We remind the universe why our species survived. Ice ages, deadly diseases, wars, and every other disaster our planet could create. We show them that human myths are not just entertaining stories. They are instruction books for survival." Jake stepped forward to stand beside her. "The God-killer weapons, the ghost fleet, the suicide tactics, the refusal to surrender even when facing certain death. These are not new human inventions. They are as old as our species. We just never had to use them against aliens before today." "Are you threatening us?" Zexithara demanded, trying to find some of his old courage. "No," Jake replied simply. "We are explaining. Humanity wants peace, trade, and friendship with all species. But we will never again allow threats to our territory or our people." Carol nodded firmly. "Consider this a public service announcement to the entire galaxy. Human space is clearly marked on all star charts. Human ships are clearly identified with our symbols. Human warnings are given once, clearly and politely. And if those warnings are ignored? The council president asked, though he seemed afraid to hear the answer. Jake's expression never changed, but somehow his presence seemed to grow larger and more threatening. Then you will discover that every human myth about our warriors, our weapons, and our willingness to pay any price for freedom is completely true. The chamber remained absolutely silent. Every delegate was thinking the same terrifying thought. If this was humanity at war, what would they do if someone really made them angry? As the human delegation prepared to leave, Carol stopped at the big doors of the chamber. She turned back to look at all the aliens who were still staring at her, in fear and amazement. "One last thing, honored delegates," she said in a voice that carried to every corner of the huge hall. "The Battle of Saul? That was not us at our worst. That was us being kind and merciful. We let some of your ships escape so they could carry this message back to your people." "What message is that?" Zexathara asked, his voice so quiet it was almost a whisper. Carol's smile was as cold as the empty space between stars. "Do not make us prove what we are really capable of, because next time, we might not be interested in just defending ourselves. Next time, we might decide to make sure the threat never comes back." The chamber remained silent for a long time after the humans had gone. Each delegate sat alone with their thoughts, contemplating the same horrible question. If that was humanity showing mercy and restraint, what would happen if they were truly angry? The myths were real. The warnings had been given, and the galaxy would never be the same again.